Welcome everyone. Today we are addressing a silent threat to industrial stability, the tribal knowledge crisis. We often focus on the physical wear and tear of our plants, but we forget that when our senior experts retire, their years of intuition and feel for the machinery go right out the door with them. My goal today is to show you how we can make the plant remember even after the veterans leave. Let's look at a common scenario. It's 2:13 a.m. A pump trips, and the night crew follows the manual to the letter. But the pump keeps failing because the manual doesn't mention the subtle hiss or the specific valve stiction that a 30-year veteran would have recognized instantly. The manual remained on the shelf, but the decision logic, the real intelligence, left the building years ago. When an expert retires, we lose more than just a head count. We lose four distinct layers of knowledge. While explicit knowledge like drawings is easy to document, we often lose tacit judgment, relational networks of who to call, and the contextual history of why certain rules exist. If we only focus on the paperwork, we miss the judgment that actually keeps the plant running. It is important to clarify that tribal knowledge isn't just folklore or old wives' tales. It is the plant's unwritten operating model. It represents the cues and choices experts make when reality departs from the standard operating procedure. Our challenge is to take this tacit knowledge and surface it through observation so it can be codified and shared. This isn't just a future problem. It's a demographic wave hitting us right now. Between 2024 and 2033, we expect nearly 4 million job openings in manufacturing, with almost half of those driven by retirements. The big maintenance question for us is, how much critical plant memory is sitting inside those nearly 2 million retirement openings? Unfortunately, most organizations are unprepared. Research shows only 8% of organizations consistently capture the knowledge of retiring employees. We have to realize that a 30-minute exit interview on a Friday afternoon is not a knowledge transfer system. It's a missed opportunity. Workforce development has officially become a reliability issue. Organizations like SMRP and the Skills Gap Summit are now prioritizing knowledge transfer because they recognize that while an unfilled position is a problem, a position filled by someone without the necessary judgment is a safety and performance risk. So, where's this memory stored? It's in the red lines on a drawing that were never digitized. It's in the specific sound an alarm makes before a trip, or knowing which vendor actually answers their phone at 3 a.m. This called network, and these sensory cues are the real heart of plant reliability. If this knowledge is so valuable, why does it stay tribal? Often, it's because our cultures reward the hero who saves the day rather than the person who standardizes the fix. Other times, it's a lack of trust in digital systems or simply a lack of protected time to sit down and document what matters. This slide shows the risk chain. Knowledge loss isn't just a HR issue. It leads directly to business impact. When capability leaves, we get a decision gap. That leads to slower diagnosis, bad recoveries, and eventually hits the safety, quality, and output. We must treat knowledge risk with the same urgency as asset criticality. A word of caution, not all tribal knowledge is good. We must capture first, but then validate. We want to preserve validated judgment, but we should use this opportunity to challenge local workarounds, retire superstitions, and stop any unsafe deviations that may have become the way we do things here. Our first major step in solving this crisis is to map the exposure. We need to find exactly where high plant consequence, unique expertise, and imminent retirement dates intersect. We can prioritize knowledge just like we prioritize asset risk, by scoring tasks based on the consequence of failure, the uniqueness of the knowledge, the imminence of the expert's departure, and the current gap in documentation. We can create a ranked knowledge risk register that focuses our efforts where they're needed most. The key is to look at tasks, not just job titles. For example, knowing how to light off a boiler after a cold shutdown is a high consequence task. By mapping these specific tasks to experts and their loss horizons, we can identify exactly where our single points of knowledge are. A single point of knowledge is effectively a single point failure for your plant. If one person is the only one who can handle a boiler trip, a pump cavitation, and a DCS restore, your plant is in a precarious position. Our target state must be to distribute and validate that knowledge across at least two people. To do this, we need to move beyond simple skills matrices. A skills matrix often relies on self-rating, which can confuse confidence with competence. A competency matrix requires observable evidence. Who has actually proved they can perform the task under specific conditions to a set standard? We use a four-level competency model. It ranges from L1, aware, to L4, diagnoses and teaches. Crucially, a person might be an L4 expert on a turbine, but only an L2 on the DCS. We rate the task, not the person's reputation. Competency must be observed where the work happens. It starts with a knowledge check on hazards, followed by a demonstration of the task, and most importantly, a scenario-based test on how to handle things when they go wrong. If there's no evidence, they aren't qualified yet. When inventorying these tasks, don't just look at the routine PMs. Those are usually well documented. Look for the rare work, the annual repairs, the cold starts, and the emergency responses. Ask yourself, what does the plant do only once a year or only after something breaks? That's where memory is most fragile. Don't try to capture everything. Focus on the high consequence tasks where there is little opportunity for practice. This capture first quadrant is where your veteran's knowledge is most critical and most at risk. Once we've mapped the risk, we move to step 2, capture and transfer. This is about moving from what the expert knows to what a successor can safely demonstrate. This capture ladder shows the progression. We move from observation and interviews to creating standards and teaching. Remember, capture is never complete until someone else can actually perform the task. When interviewing experts, don't ask for their biography. Ask for their decisions. Use prompts like, what is the first weak signal you notice before an alarm? Or what should never be done? Use real drawings of failed parts to jog their memory. Don't rely on them remembering everything in a vacuum. The best interview is a walk down with the machine present. Let the expert narrate their cues while a facilitator captures the decision points and take photos or clips. This needs to happen during real work, long before the retirement date arrives. We then turn that experience into a TWI, training within industry, job breakdown. We break the task into important steps, key points for success or safety, and the reasons why those points matter. This makes the expert's intuition teachable. To train others, we use TWI job instruction. It's a 4-step process. Prepare the learner, present the operation, let them try it out while explaining the steps, and then follow up. Demonstration is the only proof of transfer. Video is a powerful tool, but only if it's used correctly. Avoid long, 90-minute brain dumps. Instead, create short, searchable micro videos focused on a single task or decision. They must be validated by a technical owner and linked directly to the work order. Mentoring shouldn't rely on goodwill. It needs architecture. This means setting aside protected time in the schedule for experts and successors to work together on specific tasks, with a regular cadence for reviewing evidence of progress. Apprenticeships are a great way to turn replacement into a pipeline. By combining paid, on-the-job learning with related theory in a dedicated mentor, we create a measurable, standards-based path to occupational capability. We must practice the events the plant cannot afford to wait for. Qualification isn't complete if the person has only seen the plant running normally. We need to run scenarios for trips, utility losses, and restarts so that the first time a technician sees an emergency isn't when it's actually happening. Knowledge must also move across shifts. If a lesson stays with the morning crew, the plant hasn't truly learned. We need cross-shift huddles, after-action reviews, and shutdown learning sessions to ensure that the new standard is adopted by everyone. Now, where does AI fit in? AI is great at transcribing and retrieving information, but cannot certify truth. We must ensure that any AI system used is drawing from an approved, human-validated corpus of knowledge. A fluent-sounding answer from an AI is not the same as a qualified one. The final step is to govern and sustain. We have to ensure that critical knowledge remains owned, findable, and current at the point of work. We should treat critical knowledge just like a physical asset. It needs an owner, an approver, a version history, and a review trigger, such as an incident or an equipment modification. If nobody owns the decision, the repository will eventually become a graveyard of outdated info. So how do you start? I recommend a 90-day roadmap. Spend the first month mapping your top 10 risks, the second month capturing those specific tasks, and the third month qualifying successors. By the end of 90 days, you should have at least 2 qualified people for your most critical tasks. To measure success, don't count the number of documents created. Measure exposure. Track the percentage of critical tasks with 2x coverage and the time to competence for new hires. These are the metrics that actually impact plant reliability. When building the business case, speak the language of the plant. Calculate the value of avoided outages, faster restoration times, and less rework. Compare that against the cost of the program. Usually, preventing just one major outage pays for the entire knowledge transfer system. What usually fails? Starting too late, creating document dumps that no one can find, or relying on self-rated competence. But the biggest failure is often hero culture, where we reward the person who fixes the problem instead of the person who documents the fix so it never happens again. Everyone has a role in this operating model. The plant manager provides the protected time, HR provides the architecture, and the experts provide the validation. Come Monday morning, your first step should be to name your 10 highest risk tasks and identify their successors. In conclusion, a reliable plant should remember even when people move on. By mapping exposure, validating knowledge, and governing that memory, we ensure the plant's future. Don't wait for the next retirement announcement. Start with your 10 most critical tasks today. For those looking to dive deeper, I've compiled the primary sources used in this presentation, including research from Deloitte, SMRP, and the NIST training within industry materials. All these links are available for your further learning. Finally, a thank you to the creators of the visual assets used throughout this deck. These public domain and Creative Commons images help illustrate the vital human element in our industrial operations. Thank you for your time.